at the root are 4 virtues: courage, temperance, wisdom, and then justice. These are the root virtues that human beings are meant to develop in their lives. All virtues come out of one of these 4 virtues. So courage, which is the first and most important virtue, because upon it the other ones are based. Generosity is actually the daughter of the mother virtue, which is courage, because generosity is courage with one's wealth. Patience is also a type of courage because it's a lack of anxiety when a calamity afflicts you. And that is from a type of courage. So being patient is rooted in courage. So courage in English, because it comes from a root word kor, which is heart, that the essence of courage is the heart. And so somebody who has courage has a lot of heart. And that's why the Arabs say, when they say, like in West Africa, they say, ma'andu qalb. He doesn't have any heart, which means he doesn't have any courage. The heart is the source of courage. And then you have temperance, which is a balance. Temper has to do with a balance. Temperature. You adjust. So temper is the ability to adjust to different circumstances. So temperance is always maintaining a balance. It's like a homeostatic, moral homeostasis. In the same way that your body maintains 98.6, the soul maintains a moderation in all things. That's the essence of temperance. And from temperance comes chastity, iffa, which has to do with not aggressing against anyone, either sexually or financially. From that, it gives birth to contentment. And from contentment, what comes from contentment is trustworthiness. Because somebody who has chastity, and chaste used to mean not just with sexual mores, it has to do with everything. Now it's pretty much limited to the idea of chastity in sexual relations. But traditionally, the idea of temperance had to do with moderation in all things, and that moderation led to this chastity, or a chaste nature, a pure nature, a virtuous nature. And then obviously from wisdom comes understanding the virtues of the mind, of the intellect. And then finally justice. And at the essence of justice is a desire for fairness. The essence of justice is insaf. It's fairness. And it's very difficult. Very few people are fair in this world. And even people who are oppressors or oppressed, they will always look at the other with a total lack of fairness. Always. So an oppressor will always look at the one he's aggressing on with a total lack of fairness. And the one being aggressed upon will always look at the oppressor with a total lack of fairness. And that's why true justice is very difficult to come about in the world, because of human nature. It's so difficult for human beings to be fair, to be truly fair. But at the essence and the beauty of justice comes mercy. In the traditional understanding, mercy actually came out of justice. And the reason for that is because mercy is an emotion that emerges when one sees somebody who is suffering or who is in a situation that he is not, and from it arises this sense that this person does not deserve that. In other words, the fact that I am not in that condition, I don't want that condition for that person. And that is justice, and that's why mercy emerges out of justice. It's an extraordinary concept, because we usually tend to see mercy and justice as mutually exclusive. You're either just or you're merciful. But true mercy is actually emerging out of a real sense of justice, that you don't deserve that. And that's why when God shows mercy to his creatures, that is coming from his justice. And that's why the Quran says, my mercy outstrips my justice. In other words, justice, if the two race, mercy always wins. And from this idea of mercy emerging, then the idea of forbearance. And forbearance is the ability to, despite somebody aggressing upon you, to actually have this forbearance, this ability not to desire retribution. And from that virtue emerges the virtue of forgiveness or pardoning. And that is why that is one of the highest virtues. And the amazing thing about forgiving, there's a really interesting study that was done in Stanford, I think. They worked with these people that were in Ireland, they were Irish Catholics who had lost sons at the hands of the Protestants, or vice versa. And in working with them, most of these women were depressed, and most of them were incredibly angry and having a lot of vengeful feelings. And what they did was they worked with them to overcome that and to get to a place where they could forgive. And what happened is they got better. They actually got better. They were able to get out of these depressive states. It's a type of acceptance. And that's the beauty of forgiveness, is that there's that acceptance, that there's nothing that can be done about it. Do I want to continue the cycle, or do I want to be the one that breaks the cycle? That is mujahada. That's what mujahada is about. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said that the real mujahid, al-mujahidu man naha nafsuhu an hawaha. The real mujahid is the one that prevents his soul from things that are harmful. That's the real warrior. And that's ancient Chinese. The Chinese said the true warrior is the one that conquers himself. This is an ancient tradition.